This episode of the Sports Gambling Podcast Network is brought to you by Underdog Fantasy. Underdog Fantasy has just added Pick'em Scorchers where you could win 100 times your money, turn $5 into 500. That's right, $5 into 500. And also every Sunday they're giving away $100,000. All you got to do is enter a contest and you are in. $10, you get a chance to win 10K. So easy, enter the contest and you are locked in. Underdog Fantasy, promo code SGPN. So I know usually Monday nights we're previewing this upcoming golf tournament, but we have another special interview, very, very special interview. A podcast host, PGA Tour professional, Corn Ferry Tour winner, SoCon Player of the Year back in his day, Andrew Novak. Andrew, thank you for joining me. Happy to have you here.
Hey, how's it going? Happy to be on. That's it might be the first time it's been back. I've heard back in the day. Starting to feel old now.
Yeah, I mean, a few years ago, I gotta spice it up a little bit.
It was a
So,
while ago, man. It's not.
well,
It's been a bit.
yeah, I mean, you had a good career over at Wofford. I think you're one of two Wofford players to ever play on the PGA Tour. That's a
Yeah,
decent accomplishment. So,
old Willie McGirt.
oh, Willie McGirt, how could you forget him?
Yeah,
Before we get into these golf questions, I'm gonna talk a little bit, ask you a few quick hitters. I'm gonna call this the short par four, just four non golf related questions off the top. Pick your brain a little bit. So, you might not know that you don't know this about me, but I did a little bit of research about you. You are a Carolina Panthers fan. So am
mm.
I. Die Hard, have a massive Panthers tattoo on my
No
leg.
way.
Give
There's like
me, I'll
7 of
show you.
us. That's amazing.
I'll show you. Yeah, I'll show you it after the show. Give me the Carolina Panthers State of the Union right now, because it just talk to me for a little bit about Panthers.
We won a game. It's amazing. Usually this is the part of the season where you start praying that you lose games because the season's over and you just want a good pick. And so this is the part of the season they start winning games and get your hope back up before then blowing it at the end and missing the playoffs at the end and ending with a mid-tier pick. Now we don't have a first-round pick. So now it's just like, whatever, try and win. Who cares? I don't know. It's a mess, but like we won. That's cool,
We
right?
won. No, I mean,
Thomas
we won.
Brown added some juice. I've been a Thomas Brown guy. I'm a Miami Hurricanes college fan. He was running back coach there. He did good things at Georgia, Wisconsin back in the day. He's been, a good, well-respected running back coach in the NFL, working under McVay. He's been a respected coach on the offensive side of the ball in the NFL as well. So we might have, maybe found ourselves, the next big young offensive coordinator. Who knows?
We needed that juice because Reich was not just doing a good job, and I'm happy we beat Stroud because I was honestly a Stroud guy the last year. I wanted Stroud, but I'm happy we made the move and got anyone. So I'm happy Bryce beat Stroud. Panthers are a mess, and like we can't even root for losses anymore because we don't have a damn pick.
Yeah.
It's a mess, but hopefully it's on the
Bryce
way up.
definitely looked better too. Like that was the best. He made some good plays, like moving around in the pocket, finding some guys. It's still like dysfunctional at times, but I mean, at least there's progress.
Yeah, I mean, he's doing his best with not the best weapons around him. We can't be
for sure
all mad. Hope it's only going to get better.
Sure.
We'll move on to what were you saying? What were you going to say?
I mean, I can go on rant forever. I mean, we just paid like Miles Sanders $6 million a year for 4 years, and now he's just basically going to be the backup. Like, I don't know what we're doing. But.
Tune in next week for the Carolina Panthers podcast. Me and Andrew Novak. We will get on it weekly. So are you a SoCon basketball guy at all? Because I live and die. I love SoCon basketball, and it's starting next week. You into it?
Absolutely. Yeah, it's been a rough couple of years for Wofford, but I mean, I watch every game still.
Yeah, Wofford basketball over the last like 5 to 10 years has been product of mid-major success. They just do the same thing every damn year, same roster. There's guys there that just stay there for like 6 to 10 years. That are just this guy's still on the team, and they just.
It was really like in the Mike Young years, it really was like a well-oiled machine. Like dudes came in, got better every year. Like if a guy came in and he played like 5-10 minutes his freshman year, that guy was going to be an all-conference player by his senior year. Like that's just how it was. And,
I love all things SoCon. It's such competitive. It's kind of like I think the same way of the Sun Belt in college football. It's so competitive every damn year. Like top to bottom, anyone could be anyone.
For sure, yeah.
Tell me a little bit about your podcast because as you can see from this first 5 minutes, Andrew knows how to talk. Talk to me about your podcast a little bit.
Yeah, we got a podcast at Screenplay_podcast. You can find us, anywhere like Spotify, Apple Pod, whatever. Basically, a former teammate of mine in college and I, both big football guys, and it's something I kind of wanted to do for a while. And he came to me with an idea, and yeah, we kind of went for it. It's still early on. We're on. I think this week will be our either sixth or seventh episode, and we just do weekly episodes breaking down the NFL action and talk a little bit of fantasy in there. Throw a little gambling lines. Talk some betting lines in there as well. But yeah, it's just a good time. Come in and hear some football.
Hell yeah. So I'm not sure if you're aware, but over here at SGPN, go search it up on YouTube after the show. We have a million football shows a week. And if you're an SGPN fan, if you're watching this podcast, you know that. So now you have another stream to watch when you run out of a podcast for the week. Because I'm always listening to football sports podcasts, and like I get to that last one of the week, where I'm like, damn, I wish I could listen to another one. So now I got another one. We'll shout it out again at the end of the podcast. Moving on a little bit to the golf questions, real quick. The most unconscious round you've ever had with your boys on the tour, anything, just as a golfer, even if you're a 20 handicap, you feel like that one day everything's clicking. And you, as a obviously professional, what was the time you were like, damn, I cannot miss right now?
That is a super good question. I can think of a couple right off the top of my head. The first time I ever played Tobacco Road,
Okay, that's a
I don't know
flex.
if you know anything about that place, but
Yes.
I played it blind and just started straight blackout. I think I was 7 under through 6, like straight, like literally one, like the first hole. Like if you know Tobacco Road, I hit a tee shot that I thought was terrible, and it's in the middle of the fairway because you don't know where to hit it. And then I was just like looking at the picture of the hole. I knew it was par 5, and I knew I had like, because of the card, I had like 250 something or whatever. And I just grabbed a 3-wood and just kind of hit it in the direction I thought it was. Kind of missed it, but I was like, oh, that'll be up there. It was like 6 inches from the hole. I almost made it 2. Like it was just like I didn't know where to hit it. I didn't know any, like the course is, if you're playing it blind, you kind of have no idea what you're doing. And I
Yeah.
just got away with everything and made a bunch of putts, and it was just ridiculous. I didn't really like finish off the round, but that start was wild. And then back in, I think it was like fall after my freshman year or something like that. Basically, I won the South Carolina State Amateur, and the third round, like basically my whole week, it was just like blackout with the putter. I wasn't even hitting it that well. And my third round, I chipped in 3 times in 4 holes.
That'll do it.
And I was seriously considering just starting to miss greens on purpose because I just like when the third one went in, I was pretty like confident the guys I was playing with were about to kill me.
That's hilarious. And that's playing with your boys, or that you said that was in a.
Yeah, I mean it was guys I knew. Who was I playing with? I know I was playing with Caleb Sturgeon because he was not happy. He played at South Carolina, and then I can't remember who the other guy I was playing with was, maybe, but that was just the state am in South Carolina.
That's funny. All right, let's get into the guts now. So, I've heard in other interviews you got into golf, I guess, a little later, not super late. You didn't start playing in college, but talk to me a little bit about your recruiting college. Obviously, we said already you went to Wofford and Spartanburg. Did you have any other offers or look to go anywhere else?
No, I didn't really have any other offers. I got into it late, like I said, and like basically the way it is, like I mean, I got like when I say late, like I didn't start playing until like 7th grade. So in South Carolina, you could try out for the high school team, like starting in 7th grade. So I actually tried
Oh,
out for
really?
the local
Wow.
high school team in 7th and 8th grade. I got cut both times, so I got cut from my high school team twice. That was like before I was actually in high school, but um, basically, like I probably wasn't breaking 40 for 9 holes from like kind of up tees until like probably spring of 9th grade. So I was like way behind, their kids shooting in the 60s by then, like putting up, good scores everywhere, playing all these junior tournaments everywhere. And I was like just learning how to play still. So, I didn't start showing up to these bigger events until like later sophomore year, junior year. And by then, like a lot of the college coaches have their classes full. They've recruited guys. And so it was tough for me to kind of get recruited because even though maybe a coach was like interested in me, they were like, I already got 2 guys committed. I don't have money for you, basically. So it worked out that I went to Wofford. I had a great time at Wofford. So it definitely worked out for me, but like it was tough getting recruited with
Right.
kind of how the landscape was with that.
Yeah, I've been to Wofford one time for like a football camp when I was back in high school. Pretty sweet campus. I like it over there.
Yeah, yeah, really small school, but
Yeah.
it's beautiful.
All right, now let's also talk about your path to the PGA Tour. You were a part of that COVID Corn Ferry mega season that was just a grind. And the Corn Ferry Tour, no matter when you're playing, is a grind. You have to be pedal down. You cannot have weeks where you're shooting 5 under. You got to go 20 under plus every damn week. And that doesn't suit everyone's style of play. So what was that like just playing week in, week out and knowing you like, I got to
Yeah,
make a birdie on every damn hole. Like, what is that thought process?
yeah. That's I literally was talking with John Augenstein like
Okay.
2 days ago when we were playing down here. I was talking to him about it. It was like we were kind of like talking through it. It's like I feel like when you played poorly, it was almost harder to play on Corn Ferry Tour than PGA Tour. Because like PGA Tour, if you play poorly, you can maybe still scrap out some pars, you can get it around
Right.
and like, salvage a even or one over round and you're okay. If you do that on Corn Ferry Tour, like I don't
You
know how
get
you make the
lapped.
cut. Like you got to shoot 8 under just to make up for something like
It's
that. Like
crazy.
you just get lapped on those courses. So it it's like it's almost easier to handle like being off on the PGA Tour than Corn Ferry. But now playing well, I think it's easier to play well and kill it out there because when you do have those tournaments where you're like putting it well and hitting it well, you're going to make so many birdies like just because of the courses too. So it's definitely taking advantage of that, like to play well on Corn Ferry Tour. But some
Do
guys
you
are
think
just
there's
better at that than others.
do you think there's like a solution to that? Or I mean, the obvious solution is play harder courses, but I don't know. I feel like there's a better prep to the PGA Tour because that's not how I mean, obviously you got to play,
Uh,
you got to go deep on the tour, but you're not going 25 under every week on tour.
I mm, I think because I I agree that like the Corn Ferry Tour is good prep for the PGA Tour. Like I think players that come off the Corn Ferry Tour are pretty prepared to play PGA Tour, at least more so than like when they're coming out
And
of Q
that
school, how they
shows
used to do
that
it.
shows the top guys are the
Yes,
top guys. Yeah,
but like I think certain courses on the PGA Tour you see rookies play better at than others. Like
right.
I think there is like an adjustment period to getting used to some of these PGA Tour courses for guys coming off Corn Ferry. Now, I do think there are like certain college tournaments these days played at certain courses where they do get conditions like that. Like guys are starting, USAM stuff like that. Like there are ways to play courses in, PGA Tour kind of conditions that you can kind of go back on. But I I think it's like it's kind of hit or miss week to week with how different or similar you see like Corn Ferry to PGA Tour.
Yeah, it's definitely a very weird situation, and you obviously came out of that season. That was I couldn't even imagine that for a year plus of that COVID season with like no one there, just grinding your ass off. But congratulations, you made it, and you remained inside that 125 for this season. Obviously, there's still the fall to play, but you had a decent past 2023. Talk to me about last season and then touch on this new fall schedule. I know there's a lot of mixed feelings about it. And yeah, talk to me a little bit about both those things.
Yeah, it's I mean, this season was, much better than my previous season. I was just like more comfortable playing. Uh, but as far as like the fall, I didn't really have a problem with the change. Like it makes sense because they can have their playoffs start smaller and like more drama that way. And then they can like create more drama in the fall. And I love that they've created an off season. So like if you do play well, if you make it East Lake and stuff, then you can have that off season, which I've like kind of wanted for a while. Like that's great. Like I feel like that's a great incentive for playing well. Um, I, so far, like this fall, I haven't played well, but like I haven't minded the whole situation. Like playing for the 125. This week's been pretty tough though, and I've been playing with like a little extra pressure. Basically, 2 years ago, like my best friend, he got engaged. He was trying to set his wedding, and we were talking about it. He's like, "Look, I want to make this good with you. Like, when can we go?" We were talking about it, and he like brought this date up, and I was like, "Yeah, it's Mayakoba. It's the fall. It doesn't, it is what it is. Like, fall's not that big a deal."
Right.
And now not only Mayakoba's gone, it's in Cabo now, and now it's like a massive deal. I think I'm like 118 on the points list right now, so it's really not an ideal situation. Kind of tough that Jay pulled this switch on us, but you know, uh,
Yeah, I mean, it all
I'm
moves so
I'm going to go
fast.
to the wedding, and I'll just make sure to
You
play
had
good in Bermuda and RSM.
prior commitments, and it all happened. No one could have predicted what happened in the state of
Yeah,
golf the last 2 years. So yeah, I mean, 1 week shouldn't kill you on the tour. Like, I mean, it obviously 1 week is huge, but you have enough. You're inside the 118. It's not. I feel like it'd be different if you were like 130. You're like, bro, I don't know if I
yeah,
can go to this wedding, man. I got to get to Mexico.
yeah.
But so, what courses are you most looking forward to playing this year? If you were able to set your schedule, have any in advance, or just your favorite courses on tour that like week in, week out, because you played
I
a
mean,
majority of them.
I love playing Pebble. Like that's so. With that being an elevated, like that would be a really nice goal for early season. Whether that's going and winning Bermuda or RSM to get in that 51 to 60, or that's going out and playing well in Sony or one of the ones leading up to it. I think there's ways to get into that. I'm not sure.
Yeah, definitely. I think
They
so.
they changed it. I can't remember what all it is, but
It's a
still,
whole big
it'd be
web
really cool
system.
to play that. I've not played Waste Management yet, and with
Okay.
that not being elevated, as long as I can hold my spot in the 125, I should get in that, which super pumped since I've not gotten to play that. And then any like the invitationals that I haven't gotten to play, like I'd love to get to Memorial and play there. I've heard great things about that. Bay Hill and play Arnold Palmer's event. Um, like it just it'd be nice to like play some of the play some of the events that I have not gotten to play in my first 2 years.
So, what are your thoughts on Florida golf? I know it's a kind of a controversial
Mm.
topic. Pretty straightforward. Water, fairway green. That's it. Thoughts on Florida
Yeah,
golf? Very flat.
yeah. I don't mind Florida golf. I've played well. Like I won my Corn Ferry Tour event in Florida. It's I don't know. It's just very penalizing. Like Honda is pretty tough, man. Like that week is so brutal. Like
Really?
that course is literally the most stressful course on tour.
I love it.
There's not a shot out there on that course where you're not just like one swing away from making double. It's so stressful.
Yeah, that's my
But
back. That's
it's
my backyard event. So I'm always at Honda. I hope
yeah,
to see you out there this Honda week because
yeah.
it's crazy.
I played 3 Hondas now. I think I
Yeah, I
played
got the
three
I got
because
the Honda
I
poster right.
Mondayed
I
into
got it
one
right
like
there.
way. Yeah, there you go. Yeah,
Sweet.
it's every time I play, like I've had like some decent rounds out there, but man, it's like you never feel great going around that place. Like I don't care how well you're playing, like it could just fall apart so
Wow.
fast.
So is that like your least favorite stop? It might be.
No, no, I wouldn't say that because the fans are so good there. Like it's such a good turnout. It's a fun event. It's just like
Yeah.
the golf itself is stressful, but I love being down there.
All right. So you're having a tough week on the course. What is your most reliable club in the bag? Just something you can go to, and then a club that is your least reliable. You don't feel 100% like even on a good day.
Most reliable. I mean, I feel like I can pretty much always rely on my short game. And if it's been a rough day, then probably like chipping in or something like that to get the momentum back might be the
Yeah.
quickest way to flip the switch. So I would go like a wedge there, maybe like 60 degree um, for reliability, and then to flip the switch. And then I don't know. That's an interesting question. On like the other one, like I feel like statistically in the past, I've probably been a little bit behind, like as far as like off the tee. My strokes gained like off the tee was lagging, but the last like couple months, I've kind of been just driving it perfect. So definitely not the driver right now because that thing's been
Yeah.
really good. So I don't really know. I guess you know.
Yeah, it's
Okay.
crazy because
Yeah.
the last two guys I've talked to, golfers, they've said the club that like statistically doesn't look the best. They're like, yeah, I feel great with the club. It's just not.
Yeah.
I guess the number. It's just
Yeah.
so golf. That just epitomizes golf. Just how
Yeah.
crazy and weird the game is. So when you first got on the tour, did you have a like wow moment? I'm playing with this guy. Like just your first one of those, or was it just head down? I'm here to golf.
Yes and no. Like I mean, seeing some of the like older guys I grew up watching.
Right.
That was pretty cool. But like I played on Corn Ferry for 4 years, and I played with Scotty since I was like 14, and Sam Burns, same thing. Like growing up, I guess probably 15, 16, but like played junior golf with like those guys. Zalatoris played a ton of golf with him, like on Corn Ferry, and then I go, I was still on Corn Ferry, and they got out on PGA Tour, and we're doing good things already. So like, I mean, I played Corn Ferry events with them. There'd be like two people watching, like, and then they're going out and doing that. So that kind of like that's part of what what I was talking about with how Corn Ferry prepares you. Like, it takes some of like the shock factor out of it because it's just like I know those guys, like I know they're good, but
Yeah.
I know what they can do, and I know how my game stacks up. So it's like nothing I've never seen before, really.
Yeah, and it's crazy because you watch you on the range, you watch Scotty, you watch two people on the range. If and you're not a golf fan, you just see two guys hit shots. You can't tell the difference. But you as a golfer, can you tell when you're playing with Scotty Scheffler as well as Zalatoris of the world on the Corn Ferry? I'm saying that these guys are a little different.
Yeah, you can. Yeah, you can see like you can definitely see pieces of it. Like Scotty always hit it so well, and then his hands, like his short game. He like honestly, he hit a shot at Colonial this year when I was playing with him. He hit a short game shot that there's not anybody else hitting that shot. Like it was ridiculous. Like, I remember like looking at him like, dude, what was that? And it's I don't know. You definitely see like bits and pieces, and like Will, like the way he hits his irons, like
Yeah,
he Will's like pretty long, but his like irons are like if we hit drivers, he'll be like 10 maybe 15 by me, and then we'll like get on a par three, and he's hitting like almost two clubs less than me. And I'm like, what?
yeah. All right. Talk to me about. You said I saw in your PGA Tour bio, Sports Center top 10. What was that about?
Yeah. I was in college at NCAA's regionals my junior year. I was the first Wofford golfer to go to NCAA's in like I don't know. It'd been like a few years, like 5, 6
Okay.
years, and they didn't have any like film, like video, like film of player playing. So they sent media team basically, like the what do they call them, the CID or something. I don't know the social media guy and one other camera guy basically came to the regionals and filmed me for like a bit. They did some of the holes, and the 18th hole there, the green's like 50 yards long, and I thought I was going to get a jumper. It didn't jump, so I'm like way on the front of the green to a back pin, like up a ridge. It was literally like 100 something feet. It's probably the longest putt I've ever even attempted in a tournament. And uh,
Just
they
candid.
were like over there on the hill, and my mom, the way my mom tells it, she said like, "Why aren't you filming? He's definitely going to make this." And so they, busted the camera out, and sure enough, I made it from 100 whatever feet it was, and
That's
yeah, got
nuts.
on Sports Center.
That's a good Sports Center top 10 story. All right, we got a few more questions for you. Craziest quick Corn Ferry or mini tour story, just because a lot of people don't know what goes on those tours. It is a literal grind. Anything out of the normal happen to you or to someone you're playing with or around?
There's always this fun one. I mean, it's not a great memory, but we were at Pumpkin Ridge, so it's like the end of when I was on Corn Ferry, that was the last tournament of the regular season.
It's a
So that
live
was to
course now,
like,
I think.
yeah, they don't play there anymore, but it was
Okay.
like a major event when we played it there, and I was like really on the cut line. I think I was like one safe of it, and then another guy I was playing with was like one behind, and then the other guy was I don't know where he was, but basically it was Conrad Schindler, me, and then another pro.
Conrad Schindler.
Yes,
What a
yeah.
stud. What a stud.
And so on eight, little par four there, hit it up on the green, got my two putt, but it's like getting dark, getting late. We're literally the last group, and Conrad's finished out, and so he goes over to nine to go tee off, and then the other guy is going, and he ends up like three whacking it basically, and so he's going to miss the cut, and he just doesn't tap in his bogey. He didn't three whack. I guess he missed his par putt. Like he putted up his birdie, then putted his par, missed it, and then just took his putter and whacked the ball 40 yards off the back of the green. Like net launches
What
his
the
putter.
hell?
Like I guess he was like outside the number to make the playoffs. So that was like going to be
Yeah.
the end of the season. Putter goes flying, goes off in the woods.
God.
He had like a local caddy that didn't speak English or something that way. Like the guy And the caddy's just sitting there looking at us, and players just walking off. Like he just walks across one fairway, just goes to the parking lot. And so I'm sitting there like, well, I guess we just keep playing. And like Conrad like kind of missed some of it, but then so he came over. We were like trying to figure out what to do, and we're like, all right, we're just gonna play. But at this point, it's pretty dark, and nine's literally the last hole. And like the rules officials, like they were just waiting. Like basically, we were gonna tee off, then they were gonna blow it for darkness. But like they'll sometimes talk to the players for that to be like their discretion. And so I just, I go ahead, decide to hit. It's a tough hole, and I just hit this terrible tee shot, like way out right. I'm like, oh crap, I can't see. And there's like hay over there. And so basically it turns into this whole thing. Like either I can look now or look in the morning. Like, do I hit another ball? Like it's all dark. I keep in mind I have to bogey this hole to make the cut. Everybody else in the tournament has finished. I had to come back in the morning to try and birdie the hole, like to do a search party to look for my ball that I'd hit 12 hours before or whatever. Probably not, like
How the hell did you sleep that night?
Not well at all. We never found the ball. Had to go back to the tee. I actually hit 2 decent shots, but missed like a 20-footer. So I ended up missing the cut. But like that 15 minutes of just pure chaos was like peak Corn Ferry Tour. Like,
and I feel like stuff happens like that more. I mean, it does happen more than
that
anyone would
one
know.
was definitely pretty specific, but yeah.
Well, the story came out about the guy this past year. I don't know if you saw it. Not going to mention any names, but there was a Corn Ferry Tour player that like had a egregious freak out problem, and it got suspended for X amount of events.
I'm
You
familiar.
saw that?
I've heard the stories. Yeah.
I'm sure stuff happens like that, and people just will never know that.
It's definitely like some one-off, but yeah, that one was like crazy. Like you would never see that on the PGA Tour, but yeah, Corn Ferry Tour. If you had gone to that event, hung around, you could have seen something crazy.
Yeah, and Conrad Schindler, by the way, I think it was
Conrad
3 years
knows
ago.
it. I mean, he'll every time he sees me, he'll like bring it up. Like, can you believe that happened?
But like 3 years ago, I think it was. I'd never heard of Conrad Schindler. I'm a pretty knowledgeable golf fan, and for whatever reason, I was at the Travelers, and this guy had the most lights out iron round I had ever watched. He went absolutely berserk on like it was a Friday or Saturday. So Conrad Schindler, shout out, you're the man.
Mm-hmm.
All right, a few more questions. Are you, as like the better in me, I'm always looking into data and trends for my golf betting and analysis. Are you, as the pro golfer, looking into data analysis, or do you have a team that looks at your strokes gain and courses that you will perform well on, holes you'll perform well on, or something like that?
Yeah, I do. I look at stats. A lot of guys have like data guys now that'll tell them that. I don't really like. I'm not in a position yet where I'm really choosing my schedule for the most part. Like if I'm in events, I'm playing them. So I don't really want to be told like, "Hey, you're gonna suck at this place." So I don't look into that as much. As far as like plotting out courses with that, like I don't know. I know for me like what percentage plays probably look like. Like it's usually you can kind of tell. My caddy will look into some of that stuff, but usually it's not super close. In my opinion, it might be like I'll find a way that something will make sense, whether a wind direction is something or other. Like I'll find something going into the week that if it's this, I'm going to do this. If it's this, I'm going to do this. And I do a pretty good job of sticking to it where, I know what my plan is going into something. And as long as I'm committed to it, I feel like as long as I'm making committed swings, I'm going to be in my best position to succeed on those holes.
Yeah, definitely got to always be 100% certain in what you're doing. So you play in pro-ams here and there. You play with your friends. What's the biggest thing you see in amateur golfers that obviously not a massive overhaul change, but simple thing that you're like, dude, just do this. It'll help you a little bit.
Yeah. I feel like most of the time, like when I'm playing with pro-am groups, like I feel like a lot of the guys I play with could like just straight up shave shots off their score if they just played their shot, like played their swing, like whatever the shot is, just play the shot and like just try and hit, whatever your shot is, just try and play that to the fairway. Like even if you play a big slice, aim left, play to the fairway, and then same thing into the green. Like whatever your shot is, just try and put it in the middle of the green. Don't worry about the pin. And more times than not, that will probably eliminate the big numbers that like kill them. And then it's like short game. Like so many times, like you're playing with AMs and they'll just like hit it in the bunker and the hole's just over.
Yeah.
Or, they get off the green and they don't know what they're doing short game wise. Now, in fairness to them, like they're playing a PGA Tour course in a pro am that is set up like that, but still, like it's just people around the greens for whatever reason they're just not comfortable with it. And if you can put a little bit of time into that, it definitely helps. Even with just like a little bit of confidence, it really can make a difference.
So basically, like not trying to do too much off the tee and into
Yeah,
the green,
like
just hit your
no,
shot.
like know your game. Like
Right.
I'm not saying like
I
guys
have that
should
problem.
be
Yeah.
like out there hitting flop shots, like, but a little bit of work and you might be comfortable playing a little lob shot that gives you like 10 to 15 feet for your putt. Like, I'm not saying that's good odds to make that putt, but at least you're not going to make a 6 or
Yeah.
or a 7 or whatever.
I do that all the time. I'm like, oh, I understand the golf swing so much. I got to do this to hit a draw. I got to do this to hit this, and like, just fucking hit the shot. Like, just hit a shot. Like, I always overthink it. So,
Mhm.
talk to me about Sea Island because that's where you're living right now currently.
Correct. Yeah.
You are a part of Sea Island Mafia. There is a ton of guys that play there, and I always shout it out if I'm plugging one of those guys into that week. So you're now in the group.
That's
How's it
right.
like playing games out there with those guys? And
It's,
how often are you playing with them?
it's awesome. Yeah. There's always like guys to play with. It's not like, it's not necessarily like always the same groups, but it's just whoever's in town, whoever's looking to play. There's like, you can pretty much always find people also looking to play. So
Right.
it's a perfect spot to be because the competition like helps kind of bring everybody else up. Sea Island does a great job of you know giving us good facilities, giving us a place to play, and yeah, I think that's part of what's attracted all these players.
Yeah, a lot of winners come from the Sea Island Mafia, and hopefully you are next on that list. So, where can we see you next on the tour? Again, thank you for doing this. Where can we see you next?
I will be playing in Bermuda and then RSM for the final event of this season. So those will be my last two.
All right, well, that will wrap it up. A solid 30 minutes plus of Andrew Novak talking about everything you could imagine for this upcoming season. Andrew, thank you for joining me. Find him on Instagram, Twitter, his podcast. Definitely check it out, and hopefully we talk again soon. Thank you. This is awesome.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Of course.